Hello, my stitchy friends. Welcome back. My name is Laura. You found Lala D Stitches, and I'm so glad you're here with me. I am filming on a lovely morning here. It is going to be a hot day. Unfortunately, my neighbor is also practicing becoming deaf by the time she's 30, so there's ear-splitting bass. I hope you guys can't hear it. I swear it's right in the room next to me. So the joys of rentals. Okay, anyways, so we're gonna move forward assuming that my speakers are more adept at collecting my voice than that bass, because I have lots to show you. I have been busy. I have been on a finishing extravaganza, and it's so funny. I pulled out my box of finishes, just wanting to, I think I was looking for something. I don't even remember what it was, but all of a sudden I was pulling fabric and planning and plotting, and I had also come into a little frame haul from our thrift store last week. So when you can get a frame for 75 cents to $1, it's pretty hard to pass up. And anyways, so I have spent the last few days finishing oodles and oodles of things. So we're gonna look at that first. Then I actually finished stitching 3 projects, and then I have also touched a plethora of others. So it's just a whole palooza today. Yay, June. It's busting out all over. Okay, so let's look at my finish, and we'll start oldest first. Now I have not put my paper on the back yet, so don't look too closely, but this is my first FFO. I don't know the name of the pattern. It's old. I believe I stitched this when I was about 14, and it has languished for over 20 years. Oh my goodness. Almost 25 years. Anyways, it's been in a sad box for a sad long time, but now it can go on my wall. And I'm so excited, and it's so seasonally appropriate. I mean, it's not in your face 4th of July, but it definitely has, you know, the red, white, and blue theme, and feels very summery, and it's so cute. Anyways, I'm thrilled to have it done and have one less project hiding in my closet. So there she is. They're so cute. I wish I knew what it was called, but I truly don't have any information on it other than cute little bears. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I fell over. Okay. So next, okay, that was the oldest. Everything is more recent. Everything else is more recent. So I found this. I'm pretty sure it was not originally white. I think it was painted by somebody, but that's okay because it worked out perfectly for my, what is this called? Moonbeam Tea by Ink Circles. And yeah, I love it. It's so cute. I haven't decided if I'm going to keep it in here or if I'm going to put it down in my kitchen or what, but it is done. I will have to figure out a different hanging arrangement. They have a wire that goes this way on the frame, so that's not going to work. Yeah, I love it. Cutting off the extra fabric around it on this one really helped you find the design, because there are definitely some moments that are a little, you know, a little more subtle, shall we say. Oh, I love it. It's so whimsical. This one was a fun stitch. This was fun. And once you get the outline of the teapots, it's just filling on those, so super quick. When I finally sat down to stitch it, I swear, it took me way longer than it should have, because I get mental blocks about weird things like that. I'm like, ugh, I just don't want to. And then they sit there for 1,000 years before I actually stitch them. And then it only takes like an evening or two, and I'm like, well, that was dumb. Why did I procrastinate that so much? Okay. Oh my gosh, this next 4 I'm so excited about. And yes, I said 4. I told you. It was a palooza. It was an extravaganza. It was a bit of an obsessive fest. I framed Pink Sparrow. I was like, what is she called? This was such a gamble. I saw this frame on the shelf with all the others, and I was like, will that work? That might be okay. And it wound up being delightful. Oh, I love, love, love it. And this one's definitely going to stay in my sewing room because, look, it just fits. Oh, she's so lovely. And I think technically this is my first completed sampler. I think so. Oh, lovely. I love it. I'm so excited about all of these. Okay, next, a little summer finish. Oh, got a little booble. Bummer. Oh well. I'm not taking him out. It's fine. I'm sure it just has to do with how I shoved it in the frame. It was a little tight because this one the back actually fit on, but it was a little tight once I had the fabric in there. But it's so cute and happy, and I love the arch over the tier. This is what is this? Summer tier or beachy tier or something like that. I should have had more information. Once I finish projects, I tuck their information away and the patterns and stuff, but see if I can rack my Erin Elizabeth. I'll put it in the box below the video. And I finished this one last summer in August, so I know I would have talked about, I'm pretty sure I stitched this on just a 28 count or even maybe a 30 count portobello or raw linen or something like that. So cute. I love it. And it's gonna be so fun to have some new seasonal things this year. Okay. I don't know which one to show first. Okay, we'll show this one first. So this was a finish and then a fully finished. And this was my first foray into Whip into Shape, which is a stitch along with Andrew the Runner Stitcher. And he is preparing for a marathon in August, I think. And so as he's training, he's logging his miles, and we're stitching 10 stitches a mile. I'm doing it more like if he gets 270 miles, which sounds like, or 27 miles, which would be like 270 stitches. I'm going by hours because I can do that in the morning and just break it up into 30-minute segments, and that works really well for me. But yeah, it brought me to a finish on this sweet thing, which is Arranging Mushrooms by Ink Circles. And yeah, I'm so excited that this is done. It's so cute. It's so tiny. I can see, this is on an 18 count Aida, which would be an equivalent to 36 count linen. And I can see why people stitch tiny, because it's charming. Okay. I typically stitch more in the 32, except for my samplers, because they're so big. I'm typically more in the 28 to 32 count range, just because it's really comfortable to stitch on. Okay, final framed one, and then I have 3 soft finishes. I know, it's crazy. Halloween Fairy by, is this a Nora Corbett or a Mirabilia? I think it's Nora Corbett. I mean, same designer, but she has like 2 different banners she designs under. Anyways, this frame, it was either going to be for the Victorian house, the haunted Victorian house, or for this, and I auditioned both. But with her, oh my gosh, I just loved, it kind of fit the whimsy of everything, and I loved how the depth of color in these little fancy parts, I can't think of a good word for them, brought out the deeper parts of her dress and her wings, but then the warmer part of the frame complements, you know, some of the warmer moments in the design itself. Anyways, I love, love, love it. I'm absolutely thrilled. And I wish it was Halloween because I want it out now, but I can't quite bring myself to hang it unseasonally. So it'll be exciting to bring it out and give it a special spot, probably on my piano. Maybe in late September. She's so pretty. Oh, I love her. And for Mirabilia, really, like, so minimal beads just along the bottom of her skirt, the little fringes on her wings, and a little bit of magic in her hair and on her wand. Oh, she's fun. Oh, she's lovely. Again, I need to get paper for the back. But yes. Yay. Okay, this next one was just a real quick and dirty. I kept trying to find a frame for this project and nothing was quite right, and I didn't want, it's so petite, that I didn't want to like drown it in this big frame. And I have not tried cutting matting yet or anything, so I thought, you know, you can always use another needle book. So I just folded under the edges and stitched those down, and then I have some wool pages in here with pinked edges for a needle book. So just quick and dirty, but isn't it fun? This is Haunted Painting from the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland, Disney World. This was my kind of memory stitch for having gone to Disney World last year for the first time. I'd never been to any of the Disney parks, so it was very exciting. And I wanted something that would be fun, I could remember it through, and this will be something that I can use regularly, so very fun. I'm going to tuck it over here because, yeah, I'll just sit there. Because I'm going to use it. I'm going to load it up. Okay, so the next one, I've got two more soft finishes. This one is In Praise of Pollinators, and I had very seriously considered and even searched for a frame that would work for this. It's a bit off size. It would take a custom frame. I could not find one that worked. And I really didn't want it languishing in my box. So I decided to just bind it. Every fabric I tried to put a border on with it detracted from the stitching itself, and I didn't want to lose focus. There's so many cute little critters and so many lovely blooms going on that I didn't want to distract from it. So I just wound up going with a simple binding, and which brings out our little, you know, richer green moments, which I really liked, but also kind of sets back from the design. Then I just ran about a 1/2 inch out, a line of stitching here, and then I did in these deep points just a in place tack stitch to keep the design from sagging, which you can sort of see on my back. There's just a couple of points to hold everything together, but you can't even see it, which is the idea. And there she is. And I love it. I'm so excited to have it out and to see it, and it's so pretty. So she's done. Yay. Where should we put you? Shade distraction there? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, last but not least, another one that I just haven't been able to find a frame for. This one I did do a border. I actually, I pulled 3 fabrics thinking I would do like a tiny red border and a different blue and then bind in this blue polka dot. And when I got to it yesterday, I was like, let's throw that plan out the window and just fly by the seat of our pants. And I'm really actually very happy with how it turned out. There's a very nautical feel to blue polka dots, and the red binding is just enough to complement but not pull away. It's actually a really cute fabric. Again, just a couple 1/2 inch out stitches to tack things down, and this one I did actually echo the shape of the flag for some in the middle tacking down. Again, I don't want it to sag, and this one's a little looser than Pollinators is, but I think it's as much the difference between a linen and an Aida. And it still lays nice and smooth. Like, it's gonna be great. And again, very seasonal, and this will be fun to have out all summer. I love that it says holidays, so it's really just kind of summer instead of patriotic, despite being, you know, more patriotic color theme. Anyways, this one was fun. My husband tans so quickly, so I made his skin, I customized this guy's skin a little bit more so that it would look like my husband, and then I'm my Scottish heritage comes out, and I'm typically very fair, and I also adjusted, I think she had pigtails or some other hairdo, and I adjusted the hair so it would be a ponytail. Anyways, this is super fun. This was a fun stitch. This is by Madame Chantilly, and I want to say it's called On the Beach, but don't quote me on that. Anyways, I'm excited to have this one done. I've had the stitching done for several years, so again, it feels good to kind of pull from the archives and be able to display them at long last. Okay. So we already talked about that one. My next one, my mangled pattern here, from Nocturnus Arts on Etsy, is Long Long Time, which is a fandom stitch for The Last of Us. And we got a new season, which I haven't watched yet because I want to rewatch the first season. I just haven't watched a lot of TV. But I pulled it out and finished this in early May. And it's delightful. It's not a big design, but I did hit a bit of a roadblock. The pattern, I typically, when I buy digital patterns, will print them out and use a paper pattern. This one was not designed to be printed out, and the chart was nearly unreadable on paper. And so I had to go teach myself how to actually, for realsies, use like I don't remember if it was Markup RXP I used or if it was just in GoodNotes, but either way, I wound up going digital with it so I could zoom in the pattern, and that was definitely the way to go. It's so pretty. I wanted to frame this one too because strawberries are so appropriate right now, but I really want an oval frame if I could find one. So this one might hold out a little bit for the vision. It's so pretty though. I do not know what this linen is. If I had to hazard a guess, I would say it's a 28 or 30 count, like Weeks cocoa. It feels like it's somewhere in that range. And it's a pretty, it was just a scrap. It was a scrap, so. But it's lovely and warm and feels like summer. So I love that one. Okay, lay that there. All right, the last finish is Blooming Tiny Town by Heart and Hand. And I started this one in spring last year. I don't actually have a date. It just says spring. Clever. Anyways, feels good to have another one done. And actually, that leaves me with only 2 tiny towns in the works right now. And I'm hoping to finish Seaside Tiny Town, you know, in the next month or 2. So there she is. She's so cute. I did switch out a couple of colors just because the called for felt a little dingy for a spring scene. So my blues are, I believe the roof is a Tom and Lily of some sorts, and this light blue was Classic Colorworks blue beadboard or I don't know. Anyways, just a couple little tweaks to make it fresh. And it's so cute. These are definitely quick stitches when you just sit down and do them. They are also one of my projects that I take irrationally long times to stitch for the most part. With the exception of actually the February one. This one I just got obsessed with and stitched in like a week. But this one I stalled a couple times on. Anyways, it's so cute and so happy. Oh, I forgot to say, I stitched it on 28 count sand Lugana from Picture This Plus. That's what I'm doing, all of them to this point, all of my tiny towns to this point are on that. I had bought a quarter yard and I chopped it up into chunks. Which in hindsight, I did it because it made it easy. Like I don't know. It was a thought at the time. In hindsight, I wish I'd left them all in one big piece because it would be easier to hold than like this little 4-inch strip. So I think I'll have to get more fabric to pick up they have a Christmas, a nativity now, an adorable autumn one with these little turkeys that are just hilarious, and a Halloween. So I've got 4 patterns that I don't own yet that I'll need to pick up more fabric for. And when I do get that next quarter yard, I'm not cutting it apart. Mental note. We'll see if I actually remember it when the time comes. Okay, so that was my production era. And then my stitching, I actually stitched on, some things got just a little bit and some things got a lot more attention. And, you know, it was a hit and miss kind of month for actual stitching for me. I was either extremely productive or I was not stitching at all. Here is my May calendar, and you can see like the swipes are days I didn't stitch at all. So, you know, it happens. And that seems to be fairly consistent for me this year as I'm looking back, that I stitch about 50% of the days of the month. So, life, right? I'm grateful for the time I get. Okay, so our first project was a new start. I didn't do any formal, I'm not doing really any formal plans. Anytime I'm saying I have goals or plans or whatever, you must please keep in mind that it's a pirate rules year, and I'm just gonna do what I want when I sit down. And it changes. It seems I seem to flit to unexpected places pretty regularly. So I started Split Rock Lighthouse, which is so beautiful. This was a gift kit. I think it was my Christmas present this last year from my mom. She's the queen of finding the coolest kits. And this won't look like much, but you guys, confetti heavy, this hill, the cliff that the lighthouse sits on, it's pretty intense. So here it is. So if you're looking at it, this is actually the level that the lighthouse sits on, and this is the front edge of the cliff. So I probably have the bones of about, I think it's this quarter right here. Like if you broke the lighthouse rock into quarters, that cliff face. I think I'm working right in there. And it'll be fun when I branch off into this side because we've got some foliage. But really, I started there because that's really the meat of the stitching. It's the densest part. It's really the most intensive part. And the water, all of the water and all of the sky is half stitches. So I feel like that'll go really quickly. So it made sense to start in the nitty-gritties of it all. Anyways, it's beautiful despite being this weird amorphous brown blob. And I actually really enjoyed stitching on it. When I was game for a little bit more focus, this has been a very satisfying stitch so far. And I'm just stitching it with the called for fabric. I didn't make any switches. It's just, it is what it is. This one I made a switch of fabric on. So this is my May Iris. Another gifted kit from my mom. See, she's the queen. And I switched the fabric out to 32 count Water Lily linen by Witcholt. And I've just been, I literally just in this moment realized is I don't have my tablet in here for befores and afters. So I'll have to edit those in. So I'll have edited in a before picture. And I just worked up in this big bloom on the lightest colors. So I'm just about, I have one more soft blue to add in. It's almost a gray. Where's our best lighting? Anyways, but then I get to add these deeper tones into these other petals and it'll come to life. Anyways, she's beautiful. Green is washing out a little bit, but you get the idea. I love it. I love it. I just worked on this yesterday, so I'm like, I love you. Okay. This next project is one of my mental roadblocks in a large way. It's my leap year project. So Anniversaries of the Heart by Blackbird Designs. It's a series of 13 charts, which in theory, I started with the intention of finishing by next leap year, so February 2028. I'm seriously behind. And I almost made this my next whip go because I finished, or my whip it into shape, excuse me. My next whip it into shape. But I can't quite muster the enthusiasm to do it, which might be the perfect reason to like twist my arm into doing it, but I don't know. Anyways, this is where I am. I worked on the bricks in the house. My red, so I'm just pulling similar colors for the most part, sometimes a little bit brighter than the called for. But I'm just pulling from stash for this one. I'm not going out and buying the called fors, which is fine. And I love, I love how it's turning out so far. This red I chose is a little less, so I'm using, I think it's Barn Door. Yeah, Barn Door by Classic Colorworks. And you can see it's got that 10 section in each length, right? Which I didn't think would be a bad thing. I was like, oh, that's kind of bricky looking. The problem is the contrasting color is that tan color. So I've got a little bit of weird blobbing happening in some places. There's no way I'm ripping it out. It is what it is. It's fine. It's still progress. It counts. I also stitched my foundation 1 stitch too wide. Yeah, it's gonna stay that way. I'm not pulling out my itty bitty stitches. Because nobody's gonna know. If I hadn't told you. It's a super easy thing to fudge, because there's just this little zigzag for grass underneath the bunny. So, you know, like, eliminate 1 stitch. The bunny doesn't even have to move. It's just not a big deal. Anyways, you know, I'll keep plugging along. It's beautiful. And the idea is, I did add our last name in here, but I have other personalizations to add in to the main blocks. This is just the sampler block, so it didn't get any customizations. It's complete. But like this one, there's supposed to be all this 1/1 phrase with a name at the bottom. I have chosen ancestors to insert into it. So this one will be Colonel George Stillman, who was born in 1739, and he was in the 1st Regimental Militia in Rhode Island, and actually, you know, he fought in the Revolutionary War in the United States. So it's, you know, he's kind of a really cool ancestor. But like, I'm not sure, I haven't like charted out what information I'll put in there, and I just have my little sticky notes with the picture, and then who's gonna go with which one. This is just me and my husband. That's the sampler. And I have a page like this. Here's what the whole thing approximates into. But I'm going for more of a palette like this than the truly kind of traditional, rich, deeper colors. A little more muted. I'm just lifting it again because that's kind of my thing. Man, I'm shaky. Anyways, so I have a page like this for each of the charts, and I've put in sticky notes as I've gone through, you know, Ancestry.com and looked for my people. Anyway, so I think it'll be a really cool project when it's done. I've just kind of fallen off the wagon emotionally. We'll see. You know, I'll keep going. But I'm way behind. I should be 3 more houses into this to be current by my calendar's reckoning. Oh, Lasai, it'll be fine. I keep thinking one of these days I'll just get obsessed again, like I'll hyper focus on it, and then I'll make all this progress and it'll catch up. And it could happen. The more I pull it out, the more regularly I pull it out, the more likely that is to happen. So perhaps using it as my whip into shape is the appropriate path. I don't know. Okay. Excuse our planes. I live right next to an Air Force base, if you're new with us, and they're very active on beautiful days. It's one of the most active bases in the country for test flights. They do something like, I don't remember what it was. I looked it up right after we moved here because I was like, man, I feel like I always hear planes. And I do, because they're very active. And it's really cool, actually. I'm starting to learn what planes are flying by the tone of the, I don't know what it's called, their sound. And we have everything from big, like, carrier jets to, like, we've got fighter jets flying this morning. I don't know what exact plane they are, but I can tell, like, in my brain, I can picture what would be in the sky by the sound. And I've seen weather or, you know, kind of radar planes go out, and there are at least 4 different styles of fighter jets that fly And they all make their own sound. It's very interesting. So they're definitely flying this morning. 3 just went by. So they usually fly in sets of 4. Like they have partners, pairs, and so you'll see 2 take off and then 2 more take off, and so you've got 4 circling around for a bit, and they land, and it's quiet for a while. And anyways, all the information you didn't want. Let's get back to cross stitch. Okay, so this next one is Nature's Journey. I'm still working on the spring section, but I'm making good progress. And in case you're not familiar with it, it's very popular right now because it's lovely. So that's the section I'm working on. I also have my magazine for the next section. I had originally been working from my library app, but I just decided to break down and buy the magazine. Mostly because they're not available after a certain point, so you know, I can take a screenshot, but then you're blowing up this tiny little picture, and it just made sense. So here is my progress. Oh my goodness, I love it so much. I'm actually gonna open it up like that. Okay, there we go. Oh no, it's droopy. Anyways, so I've done a lot. So I think when last we had it out, I just had this top branch, and I've added all these little bits. This nest, everybody talks about the big flower. I felt like the big flower went pretty quickly. I didn't really have a problem with it, and I didn't have a problem with the nest either, but it definitely, like, it took a full little, like, it took a couple hours to stitch it. You know, it's a little bit more involved, just more counting. Not hard, but oh my gosh, it's a delightful result. And I love the bumblebee. I haven't backstitched his wings yet, but oh my goodness, he's so round bottomed and fuzzy, and you know, he's just gonna go take a nap in that tulip. He's like, I am full of pollen and sleepy, and I need to take a nap. It's so cute. Have you seen those pictures of bumblebees sleeping in flowers? They just hang their little legs and their bum out of the back of the flower, and it feels like a very Pooh Bear moment. They're so cute. Anyways, I love it. This is just a 32 count one, and I dyed myself, so it doesn't have a name. But I love it, and I'm really excited to finish this section. My goal is to finish it by I think it's June 22nd is the first day of summer. So my goal is to have this finished by then, and then branch out into the summer half. It's so pretty. It's really a fun stitch. And if I didn't want to stitch on everything else too, I would very contentedly just stitch that until it was done. But I'm all over the place, and it's a good thing. So our next one is Farm Life. I didn't do a lot. This was my downstairs stitch. So I typically stitch up here in this chair, but when my husband's home, if we're watching something at night, I like simpler stitches for down there because it's later in the evening and the lighting's not as good downstairs, and you know, half the time he's watching something that he'll be sitting there and he'll be like, you have to watch this part, you have to watch this part. And anyways, it's just easier to work on something a little simpler. So this one is one of those downstairs stitches. I love it, but the progress is a little slow because we don't watch TV every night. You know, it's hit and miss. But I've been working on the fence and the house. And once the house is done, I'll be excited to get those little birds in the sky and put some leaves on that tree, and it will start coming to life. I think I'm just gonna, I was originally thinking I would like do half and then half, but I think I'm just gonna, it's kind of set up in rows almost, and I think that's how I'll approach it. Plus, once the house and the barn are done, it's all just cute little quick motifs for the most part, so I really want to stitch those cows though. They're so cute. Oh my goodness. Really fun. Anyways, I'm stitching this on Yeah, we're doing good. Okay. This is it's the called, oh, it's not the called for. Yeah, I've never heard of silk weaver fabrics. I'm sure they're lovely. But this is a vintage country mocha. I want to say it's 32 count. And for the most part, I think I'm using the called for floss so far. So, how unusual of me. All right. Oh, this next one, it feels like a little piddly start, but it's the bones, and it's going to be great. So this is On the Oregon Trail by Heartstring Samplery. This has been something I've wanted to start, and actually have, it's a restart for the third time. I've had some fabric problems. The first time I just miscalculated completely and it wasn't going to work, so I pulled it out, and then it's been a series of auditionings and false starts until now. And earlier this year I was given from a couple of you generous lovely viewers a couple stacks of fabric, and so I had some what is this called? I think this is platinum Lugana. I need to zigzag the edges still. But it's perfect. And it was a big enough chunk that I could, even though it's a 32 count, I think. So it will be quite large. I mean, look at this fabric. Well, that's okay. I mean, I hang quilts on my walls. What's a big long cross stitch? It's going to be gorgeous. And my husband was born in Oregon, and my heart lives in Oregon, so so it'll be great. Anyways, platinum Lugana 32 count. It's great, and I love. You know, I typically work on a lot of over-dyed fabrics, which I love. They're so interesting, and they just add a little extra something something. But the stillness is actually really satisfying with this. It's beautiful fabric. It's beautiful fabric. I love it. And so even though the variegation is very subtle in this little green box, you can actually see it. I don't know. It's great. So I got the first star in for this little quilted border along the bottom. And then I realized that I just pulled fabric floss from stash. I did a conversion from stash. Tried to keep it, you know, as close as I could to the originals, but there was inevitably some difference, and a couple moments, especially in like the blues for the rivers and stuff, I intentionally have changed those just a little bit, tweaked them to make them read a little less mountainside and a little more sky. You know, it's just personal preference. But my first star here brought to realization that my browns I have chosen are not quite, they're not going to read quite as, there's kind of a dusty rose tone to a couple of these, and mine read much more brown. So I mean, this first, so we're right here, right? That's a pretty dusty rosy, I know, I'm showing you this itty bitty little moment. But to my eye, from the picture, we know how trustworthy pictures are, but my coloring's a little off. And I don't mind that for the top parts, because that's what I based my color choices off of. They're more earthy moments. They're ground, they're path, they're rocks, they're oxen, things like that. But for this bottom banner, I kind of stopped, even though I was really enjoying it, because I want to pick, I'm just going to pick a few colors specifically for the border banners so that they look a little softer, a little more quilt-like, rather than being completely earthy. Does that make sense? Anyways, that's just my brain. That's what I'm going to do. But right now I have strips for assembling a quilt hanging over my cube shelf, which is where I store my floss. So I can't get to it. I mean, I could, but I don't want to mess with, they're in a specific order and I don't want to mess with that. And so, so we took a little pause, but that's okay. I will come back to this month because I'm really enjoying it. And actually I'm reading a book right now while I'm listening to it, called, I think it's called On the Oregon Trail. Something like that. But it's the author did a modern covered wagon journey over the Oregon Trail as much as you can. And then he is, of course, has done a ton of research. And so he's relaying historical facts in keeping with where they are on the trail. Anyway, it's very interesting and it's a very enjoyable listen, and it has me very enthusiastic for the pattern. So yeah. Next one is Cicada's Song. This is one of my 3 market purchases this year, and I love it so much. It calls for a smaller count, and I'm doing mine giant. That's okay, it's so pretty. This is also on 32 count Vintage Country Mocha, which is actually called for color. I just have my count a little bit bigger. I've been working on this border. I'm really excited to get into some of the colors because the details in the border are magic. I think I will work around the border this way and then bring it down so I can get into the watermill. Because again, kind of the heaviest point of stitching, but I'll get to do some of the border first. And it'll be so fun to get some of those little critters. There's possums and woodpeckers and moths. In fact, I think there's a moth right here. Anyways, it's such a pretty, pretty chart. And a satisfying stitch so far. So I really enjoyed that. That was a new start this month too. I think that and this next one, I think I did 4 new starts. I have a bit of startitis all of a sudden. I'd kind of, maybe it's because I finished so many things, I'm like, ooh. But yeah, I started a few things this past month, and I have a few planned for June as well. It's gonna be very fun. So my last new start was In the Greenhouse by Mojo Stitches, also one of my market purchases, and I love it. I'm stitching it on a 32 count navy bean linen by Lakeside Linens, and I've got mostly bones so far. So you can see my little counting running stitch, so I made sure my shelves were in the right spot. That was the most stressful thing because I did in the library, but I started with the center moth and then just worked out, and then I counted out into the shelves from the bones of the border. But this time I started with the shelves, and I was gonna have that moth done, but I'm actually, I had ordered the cottage garden threads I was missing, which are the called for threads with this, when I ordered the pattern, but I missed one. And so it's kind of a ghosty moth right now because I don't have one of the colors. And I thought about just using the DMC substitute for it, but there's actually a really pretty variegation that happens with it. It's like a charcoal into a lighter range, and I don't want to lose that. It would take pulling, and I didn't have anything similar to that in my stash. I've actually looked. So I'm gonna order that floss at some point in the near future, and that way I'll be using all the called for colors again, just like I did with In the Library. Anyways, it's a solid start. I think there's like 400 stitches or more in the shelves alone. So I feel pretty good about it. It's definitely at the point where it's well enough established that I can just pick it up and kind of rock and roll with it whenever the mood strikes, which is nice. Okay, I have to, my one leg was falling asleep, so I have to switch legs. This chair is just a little too low for my comfort compared to the screen. I always feel like I'm super far away, but the lighting is solid in this spot, so I'm liking it. Okay. Garden Sampler, Carriage House Samplings. I started this in June 2023, and I've been slow poking my way through it, but I love it. It's so fun. I'm stitching on 27 count Lunar Even Weave by Bestitch Me, and my unintended goal, I guess, my task I set for myself this go through was to find the bottom. So I did. I brought these vines down. I guess I did that one too, I think. And I brought this vine down. I didn't quite find the bottom here because there's actually a nest that interrupts the vine, and then there's just like a little bit, and then it goes into the ground. And I was not feeling confident enough in my counting to jump the gap. So I'll just stitch the nest in and then add that last little bit of green. But I was really happy to get down to the bottom here. That felt like a big kind of landmark moment for this stitch. And now I'm ready to just kind of fill in. I'll probably try to do a little bit of ground every time I bring it out because it's a lot of stitching there at the bottom. It'll go quickly because it's block stitching, but it's still like hundreds of stitches down there at the bottom. So I think it will be good to just kind of maybe do a couple things up here and then throw in 50 stitches or so, and it'll just kind of come to completion with the rest of it. So I love this one. I think I'll do this one as a soft finish and hang it in my kitchen. So pretty. I'm planning it ahead, like I'll have this done in the next month. My brain's just like in the mode of visualizing finishes, I think. Okay. Jenny's Bean Sampler by Shakespeare's Peddler. I love this project. I fell in love with it when I saw somebody start it on Instagram early spring, and I knew I had to do it too. So I didn't do a lot on, well, I don't remember where I was. I'll pop up a picture because I actually don't remember how much I had done. Maybe I did more than I think. So this is where I am. See if we can get it to show well. Actually, it's not doing too bad. This is another piece of 32 count linen I dyed. And I believe, I mean, if I'm remembering right, I've added all of this and then I've brought this border down. I like finished this and then brought it down, I think. So it's pretty good progress. I mean, I only worked on it 1 or 2 afternoons, so it's so pretty. And I haven't even added the exciting parts. There's blue blooms that go in this section, and then this section I think gets white blooms. Yeah. So that'll be really fun. But I am over halfway through the height of it. So if we were looking at the pattern, there's just one more section down here, and then we're at the bottom area, roughly. It always feels good to get those boundaries kind of established, so you kind of see, like, even if it's not a full border, you kind of see the dimensions of what it will be, roughly. I don't know, I find that satisfying. But I'm really excited to work on this more. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I love all the little ducks at the bottom. And I actually really love this. I know they're not carrots, they're blooms of some kind. but they make me think of carrots along the top. Don't ask me why. It's just my brain braining. I don't know, some of the details on this are just lovely. So that'll be fun to keep picking away at. But I think, well, I'm not going to say I'm not going to work on it because I really am enjoying it. I'll probably do a little something. But I'm definitely starting to shift more into a summer theme with my stitches. I'm wanting that. So that's the end of what I stitched. Pretty good, right? Yeah, pretty good. So now I wanted to show you kind of what I'm thinking about working on. It's kind of my general like project poll in addition to some of the ones I was already working on. Like I'm not going to stop working on Split Rock for a while. Nature Journey is going to stay. Oregon Trail is going to stay in the rotation. And then potentially Jenny or Garden Sampler or CIcada. You know, like, I think May Iris I'll tuck away for a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. It's Pirate Rules. Who knows what will happen. But I have pulled a selection of summer projects that I might potentially work on. So this one is Summertime Magic by Flossie Fox Shop. It's so cute. And I mean, I barely started it last year. This was my piddly attempt at joining the Year of the Dragon cell. Failure. I started on the dragon, or what looks like a dragon, but I didn't get very far. Her charts are so fun, like that pixelated, almost Animal Crossing Minecraft kind of vibe is so cute. And I did one of her, I was in her Patreon last year. I've been terribly tempted to join this year because she just dropped an apocalypse kind of themed one, and they're all, you know, very cute like this, but she has both a bright and kind of a faded neutral version of it. It's so dang cute. Anyways, last year I was in her Patreon and I stitched one of those and I fell in love with her charts, so I grabbed another one. So cute. Oh wow, this got wrinkly despite pressing it. I'm not sure what happened there. This is where I am on my summer Bloomin' Seaside, what is it called? Seaside Tiny Town. Way to just make up names, Laura. Yeah, this could be finished fairly quickly. Let's see here. Oh, I don't know where my card of information went. But this is on that sand Lugana still. I just have the lighthouse. There's a big fish that goes on top of here. The pelican's face. You know, it's very close. I think I was doing color completion the last time I worked on this, which is why it's kind of like piecemeal images. But it has me set up in a good place to kind of whip it into shape, perhaps. We'll see. I don't know. I really am undecided which will be my next one. But I need to pick quick or I'm going to fall behind and then I'll have a lot more work that I've committed to. This one was a stitch along last year. All of my compatriots have finished it. All my friends finished it and I am just dragging behind at the end of the pack. That's okay. It's not a race. And I do love how it's looking so far. This is a really funky piece of fabric. It's not square at all. But I did my own pull. It's charted in MPI silks. And I did a pull to overdyed cottons from my stash last year. And I'm stitching it 1/2 on 36 count Dune by Fiber on a Whim, which is just gorgeous. It's such a beautiful linen. But I got the Lighthouse done, which is really the woof part. That took quite some time. There's a lot of stitches in there. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So if I were to make a goal for myself, I'd say there's like a compass and then the ship that sits there. That would be a really solid progress point. And then I could leave the mermaid for like July, August. And then if I could finish it by the end of August, I'd feel really good about that. So, soft goals. We'll see what the pirates say. Okay. Oh, this one is a high contender for Whip It Into Shape because I just adore this project. The picture, I'm showing it to you so you have a general idea, but please ignore it because it doesn't do it justice. I saw the sample in person when I was in Florida last year. Oh my gosh. It is so beautiful. I saw it and I was like, I want that. Do you have all the things? Please and thank you. And she did, and she was so delightful, and here's my start. So this is the called for fabric. It's an ombre. I'll just open it up so you can see. Oh, it's so beautiful. And it's predominantly charted with Weeks Dye Works, if I remember right. But then there's a ton of Krynic. So like in those jellyfish and the turtle, I don't know if I can get an angle where you can see, but there's just a soft shimmer to it, and it's magic. Ah, it's so pretty. So this was my start last year, and I definitely see, okay, maybe this is my, I don't even know if I want to put it as my Whip It Into Shape because I want to work on it more than just that. But I love it. This is definitely one I will work on. It's not even a maybe. So beautiful. Okay. This was another contender for Whip It Into Shape because I started this in I don't remember. It's got to be 2023 though. Yes, I believe it was, I think that's when Samantha started it. It was a Sal with Samantha, the Hugo Stitcher. And, yeah, it's got to be 2023 that it started it. Despite my little card on the back, I did not write my start date. But I'm stitching it on a 28 count linen sand by Picture This Plus. And this is where I am. I started here. And I think I did a little bit of words and a little bit of border. And last year I brought the borders out and worked on some of the Quakers. I need to get back into the middle though, because it's almost, I mean, it's at least 50% full coverage. There's a lot, but the details are so cool. Like it's not even a thing. It's so great. But I would love to finish the green border and these diagonal borders so that the whole thing is really established. It'll be big, but it'll be gorgeous. And yeah, I feel like that would feel really solid. And then maybe do some work this year on the middle and then try to finish at least this Quaker. It would be cool if I could finish this whole top border, the frame, and some middle, but I mean, I'm talking like a monogamous stitcher here. We'll see what happens. Anyways, it's a really fun stitch, and I love stitching on 28 count. It makes your project giant, but it's just such comfortable stitching. It's such fun stitching because it's so comfortable. I don't know. This one I'm tentatively shooting for a finish by the end of summer. It's totally doable. This is Lovebirds by Nora Corbett, and I'm stitching it on 32 count Glory by Picture This Plus. It's gorgeous. But I'm really excited to get those swoopy frames that they're sitting on. I've got my birds done, except for the beads. Excuse you. Strings. I need to edge that, apparently. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I worked really hard to get the birds done earlier this spring. I think I pulled it out in February. And it was very satisfying. They're just gorgeous. The blending of colors in their feathers and their chests was very satisfying. Much like the skirts are in her Fancy Ladies. But yeah, getting those swoops in and then some of the leaves are going to be great. Yeah. And that bee at the top, he's so pretty. The colors are fabulous. Let me show you, because I don't have, sorry for the zip. Because I don't have any of the silks in yet, but that comes in the leaves and the swoops. But they really add this beautiful pop. Oh, there we go. So pretty. I love the water lily silks. They're just, they're so soft and beautiful, and the colors in them. I love stitching with silk. Love, love, love it. Anyways, I've got everything in my little bag here. This will be fun to pull out again. I was really enjoying it last time I worked on it. And I was a little sad about putting it away, but I was also vibing with what I pulled out in its replacement. So it's all good. Okay. This one, I forgot how much I love it until I pulled it out again to press it. So this is, I think it's pronounced estate. I think it's Italian, but it's summer. And my itty bitty picture there. And the designer is Sarah. I purchased the pattern last year on Etsy. I had been eyeballing her patterns for years because they're gorgeous. I don't remember if I actually bought the winter one or not. I know I got 2 or 3 because they were on a sale. But I'll have to look. I've only started the one. But yum. Oh, it's so beautiful. That border makes my heart sing. Oh my goodness. I love it so much. I'm excited to work on this again. What am I stitching it on? 28 count fresco by Picture This Plus. Oh, it's so pretty. I love it. So I'd like to finish this hill goes down a little bit, and then there's like a sunshine that sits there. And, oh, there's actually a second little house and a tree. So if I could get the sky, I'd love to get the sky and this first hill done. You know, soft goals. Pending pirates. But I love this. I know I'll work on that this month. Okay, how many more do I have here? 2 more. Okay. Oh yes, Marianne Kopp. If I was thinking to myself, if I were to put away the samplers I was working on in May, which one would I pull out? And this one feels very summery to me. Just warm, rich colors. Everything's in bloom. This is another one. The same person on Instagram. It's House of Stitch and Stash. Oh my gosh, her Instagram is so beautifully, elegantly curated. I mean, her pictures are all very carefully staged and lovely, and they make me want to start all the things. I blame and thank her for my deep dive, it seems, into samplers last year. So this was one that was also inspired by her, just like Jenny Bean, and it is on 36 count Tycho, which is such a lovely, subtle modeling. I don't even know. I guess that's pretty good. There's like little hints of like a gray blue in there with that creamy warmth. It's beautiful. It's It was the right choice. I'm stitching at 1/2 with the called for floss. That's a funky little start. But it's good. It's good. What was I doing? So this is the start of the big basket in the middle. Oh, I remember now. This is the start of a bird, but that color's wrong. I have to pull that out. That little wing. That's okay, that's not much. I'd love to get some of the blooms into the border because that's where a lot of the color is until you get down to the brick house. Oh, it's so pretty. So pretty. Sorry, I'm like moving it all around. I'll hold it still for a second. Ooh, okay. Yeah. I think I want to work on this for a while. I'll tuck Jenny Bean away for a little bit, even though I love her. Give Marianne some love. I'm just going to call all my samplers by the first names of those who designed it. Oh, it is based on a reproduction by Marianne Kopp, but the reproducer is Brenda Gervais with the needle and thread. Okay. And last but not least, I'm diving into sci-fi early this year. I've already watched a couple interesting... Okay, we watched Severance. Highly recommend. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about because I feel like it's one of those shows, it's on Apple TV, it's one of those shows that should be discovered as you watch it. Like that's, I feel like that's how it's meant to be watched, rather than be like, here's the synopsis, now you're interested, go watch it. Just watch it. It's so good. It was so well done. And then we watched Mickey 17, which was a bit of a trip. It was very strange, but I also kind of liked it. And I read All Systems Red again, which is a sci-fi book by Martha Wells. And they are releasing, I don't remember if it's on Apple TV or on Max, but they're doing a TV series now on it called Murderbot. And I'd read it years ago, but it had been a while. So I reread that. Very fun. I think the show will be fun too. I haven't watched it yet. We just finished Next Gen because there always has to be some Star Trek in my life. Anyways, so I have been deep in the sci-fi world for entertainment. So I'm ready to pull out a sci-fi project. And I don't actually have a cover photo for this. I apologize. Since I'm doing editing for this video, I'll insert a picture. This is called Space Sky. It was designed by Una Buena Pieza, and I love her charts, or their charts, and yeah, I've got a couple of them. So they're really fun, and I started this one last July. Yeah, last July, because I do a sci-fi July for my stitching typically, which is really fun, and then I watch sci-fi shows, and it's a hoot and a half. But I'm ready early. I want sci-fi June and July. And so I'm gonna pull this out again, and I'm stitching out a 32 count linen. I know it's a picture this plus, but I do not have it written down what it is. I'll figure that out. It's very cool though. It has like a subtle green. Ooh, actually, this is what I'm stitching my, oh, that's the wrong bag. This is what I'm stitching my Brain Master Sword on. It's a piece off of that. It's not sitting right here. I think it's in the cubby, in the cube shelf. Anyways, I'll figure out what it is. But it's beautiful, and it's going to be the perfect space sky. I'm excited to get there's a telescope that sits up here, and then you go into a rainbow of colors and alien ships and stuff. It'll be really fun. Yeah, that'll be good. Okay. Oh, I've got one more under here. I did work on this a little bit. Okay, so on Memorial Day, my my friend tried to get me to start one, and I had intended to start something new, something kind of patriotic. But I could not make a conversion work to save my life, and I'm sure it was half mental. It was me. So I'd planned to start this little guy, but I couldn't make it work. So I wound up pulling out Abigail. What is her real name? Salute to Abigail. Which here's a bigger picture of what it will be. I started this last year, and I just had like the piddliest little beginning of this center thing. And it's still a small start, but I've finished all of that branch work, and I've added my first bloom and the beginning of the little pot that's down below that it sits out of. Sorry for the big crease there, but you know, you get the idea. I'm stitching it on a 36 count. I think it's Dusty Cottage. I have it right here. Hello, where are you? Nope, that's not it. Where's your info card? Project. 36 count Prairie Grass, not Dusty Cottage. Prairie Grass by Seraphim Fabrics is beautiful. Really, really beautiful. And I'm stitching it with the called for silks, thread gatherer silks. The light creamy color is really gonna pop off of it. So, see if I can, oh, you get the idea. It's beautiful. So I'll keep plugging away at this. I just kind of leave it sitting out here, which is why I forgot it was in my stack. I'd love to finish that center vase. What else? And all of the blooms off of it. And then maybe get going on the border, because the border is stunning, but a bit involved. The border is maybe my favorite part. It's so good. It reminds me of a Barbara Anna border. Yeah, so if I could finish all of that, and then like, it's a pretty natural jumping off point to go into, that. Yeah, that's the last potential. And then I alluded to a few new starts. So, oh my gosh, and I'm so sorry. I meant to go back to your email and check what your name was, but after my last video, I had talked about the new Artsy Housewife owl in my last video, and how much I love it and was hoping to get it. And so this viewer reached out and said, hey, I would love to, pre-order that for you and have it just arrive when they release it. And I said, oh, that's amazing, thank you. I would love that. And so that came, and I'm so excited. And I had this great golden linen that I don't have a label for. I think it's a 32 count though. I cut a piece based off of 28 count just in case, so I know it'll fit, but it's a little wrinkly, but it's gonna be great. And then I pulled the DMCs, and they were just different enough from the picture that I looked more seriously at the called for, which is Roxy Flossco. I can speak sometimes, promise. And I thought, okay, well, I've never used their floss, but I hear a lot of really good things through Flosstube, and maybe this is a good moment to try them out. Let's see what they run. And so, where's my board? Where'd it go? Hello? Okay, there we go. Trying to get this together. Anyways, long story long, I got the Roxy Flossco. I ordered them from Evertote, and They're so beautiful. And they're 8-yard skeins, so that's really nice. You get a few more yards for not much more than like a Gentle Arts runs. But they're beautiful, and I think especially in these sage colors and this green, the variegation is really going to be effective. They're really, really beautiful. So I just want to say again a big thank you to really everybody who has donated, because I was able to buy these flosses with your donations, and then this was gifted, and so thank you so much, you guys. I'm so excited to start this beautiful owl. Oh my gosh, she's just lovely. Sweet Flora. Oh, I love her so much, and I'm so excited. I've admired from afar the artsy housewife patterns for a while, but I've never quite pulled the trigger on trying one, and I'm really excited to try one. So that'll be a new start this month. And then I also have this, let's see, stack it up. Okay, so I have this River Drift House pattern, which is very kind of nautical summer vibes to me. I adore this tile quilt section there. I think it's so pretty. And the border, I don't know, like sun ray effect or shells, or, you know, however you see that. It's so different. I love that. It's really a neat sampler with some really cute little moments too, like this happy little moon up here and the little colorful sheep, and I mean, it's just so cute. So River Drift House, designed by River Drift House. Oh, no, Must Fly Sampler. I keep calling it River Drift House. That's the designer. I didn't realize that. In fact, I'm pretty sure on my info card I called it River Drift House. That's the designer. Company. Must Fly Sampler is the name of the design. I got it on Creative Poppy download, and so I think I shared earlier this year with some of the fabric that I was given. I was also given a collection of the Soie d'Alger silks. Yeah. Anyway, so I've been really trying to find the right project to convert over to silk. And the colors are so vibrant and deep and rich that I wanted it to be the right project to switch over, because I wanted to use some of those gorgeous colors. Anyways, I have done a conversion over, for the most part. I kept 3 DMCs, white, 780, 98, and then this one frosty 162. So those 3. Because I couldn't find, this is a very blue, purpley blue, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't lean green. It leans more into the purpley, periwinkly blue, while not being that. And I couldn't find anything that was quite right. So that's one of the things I really liked about this, is kind of, you have those teal moments, but then the blues are, I feel like you see a lot of really green blues in designs, and I kind of liked that softer, you know, more periwinkle leaning blue, royal blue, you know? Anyways, I've converted over. It took like 2 weeks of tweaking things and just leaving it out on my table and coming back to it and seeing if I like that, taking pictures in different lighting. It was a little bit of a painful process because I wanted it to be right. But I'm really happy with where it's settled. I think it's going to be great. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited for it. So I'm going to stitch this on. What is this fabric? It's a Picture This Plus Helix. 32 count, which is lovely. Just enough that the white will show, but not so dark that it's dead, if that makes sense. It's not dull. I don't know. I wanted it to stay light and airy. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So I'm really excited for that. That'll be fun. And I'm excited to use those silks. I'm going to keep looking for opportunities to do conversions and stuff like conversions like this so that I can use them. So I don't do any good sitting in the cupboard. Okay, truly last but not least, I had wanted to start this last year and then just, you know, last year was weird. Life has been weird for really since our move. I don't know. Anyways, it's all good. I didn't start it, but it's ready to go. This is a kit I bought years and years ago after finishing. I'd done another sunset kit that was a different bear. It was a different bear, but this is the honey bear. Oh my gosh, you can tell it's so old and dates back to days where I was less careful with my with my things in general. Anyways, he's so pretty and soft. You just want to squish him. I did find, it looks like, I don't have a label on this, an even weave or Lugana to stitch on, but I kept it in keeping with the original Ada that was called for, or that was included in the kit rather. And then it looks like I have sorted out all of my floss, which came in just a twisted knot. Aren't those beautiful warm colors though? It's gonna be so pretty. Anyways, so I plan to start this as well this month. You know, this is a big all of these are large projects. Even Flora has a lot of stitching in her. So, I mean, none of these are gonna be like done anytime soon, but I'm excited to give them some stitches and to start them, and all three are projects that have me, you know, kind of buzzing, so that feels good after kind of a schlumpy spring and a really schlumpy winter. You know, I'm kind of waking up with the seasons, I guess. I'm feeling a little better in my brain, so that's really nice. In the wings, I'm working on choosing my palettes and conversions for my beautiful Celtic ladies. And I've joined 2 different lavender and lace conversion groups on Facebook, which I'm barely on Facebook. It's like a placeholder more than anything on Facebook. But I keep it because a couple of the groups are really good. So the conversion group being one of those. So I've been looking through what people are doing there. I've been on Pinterest and just general Google searches and Instagram, just trying to see, you know, how people make them their own. I love, actually, Andrew the Renner Stitcher is doing this, I think it's the same conversion. The Autumn lady is charted in, you know, kind of periwinkle blues and golds, which is beautiful, but not very autumn in my brain. But there's like this spicy green and orange, golden, yum, fallen leaves, just super warm colors. And then I've seen other people who chart her with like this little cascade of leaves falling from her hands. Yes, that's the way I want to go with this. So I need to, I'm in the process of like finding these conversions and, you know, printing out what's available for information. And once I have that all locked in, I'll start finding fabrics and floss and supplies and stuff. Summer is really quite beautiful on her own. I've seen people do her in kind of brighter sky blues with gold. They eliminate the purple, switch the teal over to blues, and she's really beautiful that way. I kind of like her colors though. Like, this is just a rendering as far as the picture goes, but when she's actually stitched up, she's quite beautiful in these colors. So I've considered maybe switching the color of her shawl or her accent color. And then somebody did a bouquet of sunflowers in her hands instead of this basket, and I love that. So I definitely want to do the sunflowers. I think they based it off of this bouquet, which is the spring, and then they put in spring a basket. I like that switch. So I think I'm going to do something akin to that. I actually quite like the purples, which is why I think I would take the purple out of this one and lean it a bit more summery. But I quite like the purples in spring. I just think they're beautiful. Somebody did like really beautiful pinks and greens. It was very fresh, and that's probably my favorite spring conversion I've seen. But I like the purple. I think the purple is beautiful. And I've always been a purple girl. So so on this one, probably just the switch to the basket instead of the bouquet of whatever yellow flower that is, roses, or we could pretend they're daffodils or something. Anyways, but if I do sunflowers in summer, I don't want basically the same thing in spring, because I would, in theory, I would swap these out into the same spot every season once I have them all stitched in 10,000 years. Winter will be super fun. First of all, I think she's gorgeous. But I've seen her done in icy blues for her dress. And then they convert the back of her dress so it looks like she's wearing like a cloak. And then I saw one where they took this side border and they kept the border, but they somehow changed where the colors sit to make snowflakes in there. Chef's kiss. It was so beautiful. So I'll probably do something like that. But I love that when you look at all the ladies next to each other, there's some variety in hair, even though they're basically the same like shapes, right? But there's some difference in hair and skin tones, and I would like to lean into that. Like, she's super fair and she's got darker skin and the black hair is so gorgeous, and she's got copper hair. She has copper hair. I can speak. And then I guess she would probably be closest to what my hair is. Summer. With some highlights, like she's been out in the sunshine. Anyways, I've got sticky notes on the backs for kind of what I'm thinking about with each one. And then once I actually lock in, like I said, lock in on what conversion or tweaks or changes I want to do, and I do floss pulls, then I'll start thinking about fabrics. I haven't decided if I'll do linen or even weave. Whatever I do, I'll try to be consistent through all four. Well, 5, because Noelle is also stunning. But right now I'm just looking at these 4. Because Noelle, I think I'll just basically do as charted. She doesn't need any changes. Not that these do, but you know, it's fun to make them your own. So I've got that kind of percolating in my brain right now. And Samantha, the Hugo Stitcher again, she is starting the 4th Quaker Sal. So that's the winter Quaker, which I haven't purchased it yet. She's starting it in July for like Christmas in July. and then had talked about potentially pulling it out again, like just working on it in July and then pulling it out again at the winter solstice or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm leaning towards starting it with her, but like I said, I haven't purchased the pattern. I haven't looked at the floss at all. I'm pretty unprepared for a start next month on it. So I might wait till winter to start with that one, but I definitely want to. I think it's beautiful. And I already have 3 other Leela's Studio Quakers going. I've started everything but spring and now the winter one. So, yeah, I'd like to do all of them at this point. I had hesitated about the winter one. Where's my little planner? Well, it's technically, I had hesitated with the spring one because there's so much brown in it, which there's nothing wrong with brown, don't get me wrong. I love brown. But it didn't, I think the phrase on it is no matter how long the winter, spring is sure to follow. So it has like this transitional kind of feeling to it. Anyways, I hadn't been in love with it, despite it being beautiful. But then I saw, and this will be a very tiny picture, I saw on Pinterest, oh, it's so fuzzy. But you can see that somebody converted all of the Quakers to kind of frosty blues, and it lifts it a lot. Anyways, I love it. I think that is so, so pretty. And you still have that beautiful brown basket in the middle, and you know, all those blooms and stuff, like that hope of spring. But I kind of love, I don't know, I love that idea of the garden coming to life through the winter. Like winter is still there, but then it's blooming. I don't know. It's some weird like poetic mumbo jumbo in my brain. But I think whenever in the future I pick up the spring Quaker, that's the direction I'll go with it. You guys, my brain is such a like dreamer when it comes to cross stitch. I don't even have any plans to do that this year, and here I am telling you about it. It's fine. This is what I do. Okay, so that's where I am. I will pick a whip into shape something. Either something that I could finish quickly like I did with arranging mushrooms, or something big that could use the extra TLC. And I'll keep dreaming about my Celtic ladies, and I'll keep stitching. Yeah, June is fairly still for us. We don't really have any big plans. July, we'll be traveling. My husband has his work trip, and then we're going to try to tack on. We're going to try. We'll see if it happens. But we're talking about trying to tack on a camping trip to the end of his work trip, which if we do, we'll basically be out of town a week and a half to 2 weeks, which is kind of wild. That's a long time, but it could be really fun. Anyway, so we'll see how it goes. I always bring stitching on my camping trips, but you know, I don't do a lot typically when we're out and about. But I think I can get some good stitching in this month. I'm hoping to come back with a stitching video at the end of this month, sometime between the end of this month and when we leave, so that there's definitely a video before we go. But then I don't think it's next week, but the week after. Let me look at my calendar. Yes, the 16th is my traditional hoped for quilting bee day. And so that would be not this coming Monday, but the Monday after. So in just over a week, I'll be back with Quilting Bee. So that will be fun. I feel like I have a lot to share, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see. There's always more than you think, for the most part. I've definitely been sewing, so it'll just take pulling out, because when I finish something, or like I'll set goals for myself at the end of videos. Like I'll show you. So I've already set I've got my projects written out. I'm like, okay, this is what ideally I'd like to get done before the next video. It's loosey-goosey. It's definitely pirate rules. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But it gives me a little bit of direction for still being able to have content in a couple of weeks. And I do the same thing with my quilting. After I'm done with a video, I write down what I'd like to do, what I'd like to make progress on. But once I meet those goals, I just tuck it away and I don't think about it. So it's been a month and a half, because I do my videos every other month. I don't know what I've done, but I know I've done stuff. So I hope you'll drop by for that. It'll be fun. I'm sure I'll just ramble at you for another hour. You love it. You know you do. All right. Take care, my friends. I hope you get lots of stitching time. You get some time in the sunshine. If you are entering your winter months, I hope you get lots of cozy time, and mostly, I hope you take care of yourselves and spread all the kindness, because the world needs it. So, love y'all. Take care. Toodles.